some of you have probably been aware of iCreate. We had a dev solicitation open that was for non-dilutive funding, milestone-based funding. And this is a little different. So we're going to go through what iCreate is for those of you that may not have been, involved in that dev solicitation or are new to this whole thing. We're going to go through who University Lab Partners is and the partners in this consortium, as well as BARDA, who supports iCreate. So we are an accelerator hub. iCreate is the International Consortium for Research, Engineering, and Acceleration of Technology Excellence. And BARDA is the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority. They operate under ASPR, which is under the Human and Health Services. And the DRIVE network is the Division of Research and Innovation and Ventures. So this is basically an effort that is supported by BARDA, but is led by University Lab Partners to fund the development of innovations of medical countermeasures that will help us be prepared for the next public health emergency, because things happen and we want to be much more prepared than we were for the previous pandemic, and as well as for any other kind of emergencies that we can foresee and can counter with medical devices and technologies. So there are several different hubs actually in this BARDA Accelerator network. It's called BAN. And we are iCreate. We specifically fund diagnostics and medical devices. So if you're listening to this webinar and you have a diagnostics and medical device technology, this is for you. But if you're here and you're working on something closer to therapeutics and vaccines, or something that's AI-based entirely and doesn't really have a physical device, or it's not diagnostics, then there's a digital health hub for that. There's a special populations hub that focuses a lot on children's health and other types of populations that are maybe underserved. And then enabling technologies is the fifth hub. So all of this is on the BARDA website. You can just search BARDA BAN hubs and you'll get a lot more information about these 5 hubs. So specifically, again, iCreate funds medical devices and diagnostics. University Lab Partners is here in Irvine, California, but this is a global initiative, specifically iCreate. So if you're in another country or if you're in another state, we are more than happy to engage with you and fund your technology if it fits within our scope of work with BARDA. We're also partnering with Science Exchange for iCreate specifically. Science Exchange is this really nice platform. If you enter the programs that we offer through iCreate, you'll get to have access to Science Exchange's platform, which is like an online marketplace. So if you are trying to develop something and if you need some kind of quotes from suppliers to either do R&D work or basically supply some kind of component of your technology, you can submit your proposal, your request for proposals on a platform, and you'll get multiple quotes to see what's competitive, who you want to go with. And it's just it's an excellent resource for early stage innovators and large companies alike to automate the process of finding suppliers and paying for them. So Science Exchange handles all of the paperwork along the way. Our other partner is CIMIT. CIMIT is in itself a consortium of really excellent leading class institutions, both medical and research, notably MGH and Harvard and Massachusetts. And we worked really closely with CIMIT during the pandemic in the RADx initiative, which is the Rapid Acceleration of Diagnostics initiative, to basically help companies churn out millions of tests for COVID. And essentially, CIMIT has a lot of experience in shepherding innovators through that early stage commercialization pathway to make sure that their innovations are both relevant and competitive and sustainably marketable. So a little bit about ULP before we get into iCreate, just so you all know who we are and where we're based. I'm going to give this part to Stacy, because Stacy has been really intimately involved with ULP since it's a long time.
Thank you so much, Julie. So University Lab Partners began about 5 years ago. 5 years actually will be in December. And we have a state-of-the-art wet lab located here in Irvine, California, where we have been able to incubate over 64 companies in the last 5 years. We have over $3 million in scientific equipment that is shared by these companies as a great cost savings measure. And it is a resource, if you're in the area, that is available to somebody that would come through the iCreate platform. Go ahead and move to the next slide, if you will. Thank you. So we help not only with actual physical lab space, but also with accelerating your technologies. And so we hold a lot of educational classes that are available to everybody, most of them at no cost at all. And we assist with commercialization services as well as thought leadership and some of your things like if you're looking for other funding, like maybe your first SBIR, STTR, we will help you with some education and resources for that also. Go ahead. Thank you. We also really look at the next generation of life science innovators. And so we have programs where we work with high school and undergraduate students to give them hands-on training in laboratory skills to bridge that gap from college to employment. And we also do professional development for companies to help them bring their skill set of their employees up to par and be able to be successful as employees in your companies. Our heart is to really inspire students to look at life science and in particular innovation as a potential career choice for themselves. And our iCreate team here, we have Ken Beal is our founder and president of University Lab Partners. John Geraci is on our iCreate team, who is our a board member, as well as Julia, who you just heard for, Stephanie, who you'll hear from next, Martha Delgado, who you will may get some communications from. She handles our administration, and then myself.
Thanks, Stacy.
And
yeah. So
our mission, actually, I'm going to pass this over to Stephanie now, Julia now.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Stacy. ULP is a really important, I think, location and place that has been, I think, integral. And it's important to note it's not part of University of California, Irvine. We're just on the outskirts, but we want to help create the bridge of going from a university-backed project potentially to a company. And this is not affiliated with UCI, but we're partnering with a lot of people at UCI. So just to clarify that as well. So specifically how ULP got involved with BARDA is that we were participating in the RADx program, and ULP also has all this experience with incubating early stage life sciences companies. So we partnered with BARDA because we want to continue accelerating innovation as fast as we did it during the pandemic. We don't really want to slow down that much because there's a pandemic panic and neglect cycle, we don't want to feed into that. We want to keep funding innovations. So BARDA is really interested in making sure that we can commercialize technologies that are going to be in the market when the next emergency hits. It doesn't have to be a pandemic, it could be anything, but we want to be able to feed into that funnel of innovations so that we're ready to respond no matter what the public health threat is. And that's why we have the 5 hubs focused on those 5 different areas. We are, and I'm going to keep saying this just in case, but we are the Diagnostics and Medical Devices Hub. So we are supporting anything that you think is a medical device or diagnostic that could be applied to a public health emergency. When you are applying and you're giving your alignment to the BARDA areas of interest, try to imagine how your specific innovation could be applied in that public health security situation, as well as in the general day-to-day inter-emergency times. So our goals are to help you de-risk your medical countermeasures. We want to support innovative development, so not so much Me Too products, but something that's really pushing the boundary of what current technology can currently do in the market, what's currently available to people, addressing new kinds of issues, letting new diseases or conditions be diagnosed. So innovative medical countermeasures. We provide non-dilutive funding in our dev program, and this specifically is the Accelerator program, where we provide the same kind of resources we provide in the dev program, but just without the milestone-based funding. We provide a lot of hands-on support. So if you might have been in an Accelerator program before, such as the I-Corps program or any kind of other boot camp, besides just providing a tailored curriculum based on what the cohort needs are to help you understand where you are in your commercialization path and other aspects that'll help you develop your technology from TRL1 to TRL8, we are going to be able to provide you with face-to-face interaction on as frequent a basis as you need with subject matter experts in all areas of medical device and diagnostics commercialization cycle. So regulatory, reimbursement, clinical study design, research and development, prototyping, manufacturing, scalable manufacturing, evaluating whether your design is scalable. So we are really, I think we stand out from other programs in that we have that kind of hands-on interaction with people of all sorts of different backgrounds that have been in this field for decades. We want to prepare you for fundraising. We want to prepare you to de-risk your whole commercialization pathway. And we want to make sure that you leave this program after 6 months with a better pitch plan, a better fundraising plan, and the ability to raise the funds that you need to go to the next step of your development. We are also on the highest level trying to just build this enormous network of fantastic innovators such as yourselves and your innovations, such that in the event of an emergency, BARDA can call upon any one of you that has a relevant technology to contribute to the response efforts in that scenario. So that's the biggest picture view of what we're trying to accomplish here. So what are the areas of interest specifically? It's not limited to these, but just consider these as guidelines for your technologies when you're considering what is relevant right now. What kind of applications is BARDA considering for this hub? It's pathogen agnostic technologies, because if you make a bespoke test and you only make some of it, but it's not applicable during the next pandemic, let's say for diagnostics of pathogens, it's not so easily applied in a rapid response. It's much better to have a platform that's a pathogen agnostic platform that can detect, let's say, viruses, bacteria, and fungi, than it is to have a test that only detects one type of virus. And I think you all already know that, but that's just a really important one that's not so easy to accomplish at the level of sensitivity and accuracy that you would need for viruses or other pathogens that are perhaps in lower concentrations. Lab at home technologies, I think you can all appreciate that it's pretty annoying to go to the doctors just whenever you need any kind of test. It would be so wonderful if we could have lab at home technologies, not to mention that there are people in areas that don't really have access to diagnostic technologies and have to either travel a lot or it's very expensive. So lab at home is going to be a really big, advantage for us to focus on. Rapid and accurate tests goes hand in hand with low-cost tests. So we would love to drive down the cost of tests without sacrificing the accuracy, the sensitivity, the specificity. So rapid, accurate, low cost, it would be fantastic if we could drive that down to such a low cost that it's not really a question of who can afford, when there's an emergency, to use that test. Simpler and user-friendly sampling approaches. I think you all remember, and I've said this before, I'm going to keep harping on it, but a 24-step workflow is not, and 24 is a random number, but when you first got your first COVID test, it was probably a little complex. And we, the FDA, other programs have been working to enable companies to simplify their workflow, but ever simpler, ever more user-friendly, something maybe novel like breath sampling instead of having to swab the nose or swab the throat, or maybe it's something that is a diagnostic of another kind that you don't have to wait hours for the result, or you don't have to go and have technicians be necessary for the workflow. Whatever you can do to simplify and expedite that process. And then finally, equitable and accessible innovations. And we mean this both in the sense that some people might be low vision or low mobility, so something that fits their needs, but also people who are in, for example, diagnostic deserts or healthcare deserts, where they need something that they can actually access same day, rather than have to wait months or weeks, or even, have to drive hours to some healthcare facilities, such that we can actually address underserved populations in times of need and in the meantime. And I think this is where I'm going to hand it off to Stephanie, because we want to start talking about how we recognize that a lot of applicants to this program are early stage projects, and we want to cater exactly to your needs in this program so that you get the most out of it that you can.
Hello, everyone. I think this slide is a little bit more of, I want you guys to reflect a little bit on your own projects. While fundraising is still always going to be the core of your path forward, there are a lot more components in the project stage, and many people will overlook these, and these may cause potential failures in your project, and we don't want that to happen to you. So take a moment and just look through this list quickly. Do you have proof of concept data that's ready? What is your value proposition? I mean, fundraising is an obvious one. What is your regulatory pathway? Are you planning to do FDA? Or some people even like use other places to leverage data and then come back to the FDA. And also within FDA, there's different classes and everything. So there's a lot of different options in that. And do you know the options for your company and for your device, for your innovation? And then next is clinical study and clinical trials. These can go to millions of dollars, but is it the right path for you? Maybe there's other options. Maybe you can tag along to somebody else's clinical. And then also protection of your IP. Are you talking to the right people? Are you just talking to IP lawyers that are costing you thousands of dollars? Like, think about it. Like, do you really need that? And there's expertise in the area that can tell you some of these things. And then, of course, another big one is, what is your reimbursement strategy? Do you know or familiar with insurance codes, areas that you can kind of leeway? And a lot of times, depending on how you present your innovation, it changes a lot on how you will get reimbursed and make your path much, much easier than you trying to go through it yourself. And then obviously at the very end, exit strategy. A lot of people imagine their companies becoming big and then going on to, public or whatever it is. But there's a lot more options. Maybe you can get acquired. Maybe you can partner with larger pharmaceutical companies or medical device companies. So I just want you to go through this list and think about your own project and how it will connect all together, because this program that you will be applying for will touch on all of these. And if you already have expertise in regulatory, we tailor it specifically to your needs. It's like maybe, oh, I have a regulatory expert on my board. I don't need that. Great. But you must need help in some other version of this. So next slide, please. So in this program, just the basics of it, obviously it's a tailored curriculum as Julia spoke about, but we're gonna have also one-on-one subject matter experts of what you need, whether it's being acquired strategies, connecting with investors, or even other companies, larger companies that are looking for partnership. We also want to assist you in planning, building out your team. What are the key people that you're missing? And we can provide those or connect you with the right people to build up your team, build up your board of directors, to make your story even more convincing. Also, we will have a lot of events where you can just network and everything. And then at the very end of the program, there's going to be a short showcase where you can actually pitch for a little bit about your thing to various government agencies and also various investors. Now, while all of this, I wanted to bring up an example that I have. I previously worked with a startup, a brilliant, lovely, very rapid medical device, everything. They have everything to be the next go-to. Now, they met with the investors. They were super excited. And the investor goes, I need a business plan, like a formal business plan. They also wanted, what is your budget? What is your runway? What is your timeline for all of this to happen? All of a sudden, they're in shock. They're like, oh, I have this wonderful innovation, but I don't have a business plan to present to investors in the financial world to understand. And then that's where like this program here will help you get all of those things ready. So when the time you present to an investor, they're like, oh, I love your project. I love what you're doing. It works. Now I need to get to the due diligence. I need to see what is your business plan or what is your plan for your device. And you'll be ready. You're like, I'll send it to you tomorrow. And this is what this program is about, to really lay out all the stepping stones for you and for you to get ready. So it will bring a lot to your innovation and to your team. And then any flaws or gaps that you identify, we're here to like make sure those are closed.
Thank you. I am so excited, Stephanie. Thank you for telling us about that. And I'm excited because we've got so many of these experienced folks who will be able to assess quite rapidly when they start working with you what are the most priority needs that you need to address in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 5 years. Not only building a plan for commercialization and product launch, but actually labeling what is the priority to de-risk to get to the next inflection point in your pathway. So on that note, we are not limiting the technology readiness level of the technologies that we're accepting into this program. You can be at ideation stage, you can be at proof of concept, you can be a little even beyond that. We want you to, and we'll walk through the application, but we want you to tell us, what are you most concerned about? I saw a question in the chat that said that the areas of focus are largely diagnostic based. So diagnostics covers a wide range of devices, but also applications. And so it's not that we're only taking diagnostics, it's just that there are medical devices. I personally come from the diagnostics world, but medical devices can be applied during a public health emergency that aren't diagnostics based. It could be, let's say, a really cheap way to develop a high quality thing that's really needed in the current market or in an emergency. So ventilators, circulation of blood devices. I'm just throwing things out there. There are lots of medical devices that you could say would be a huge advantage to have now, but also, let's say, in the event that there's a radiation emergency or there's an explosion-based issue and you are somehow able to triage people's injuries very quickly based on some brain injury detection device. So there's a lot of medical technologies, medical device technologies that you might have, but we're asking for you to be creative and clear in explaining to us how do you think it fits within this mission. Also, feel free to go to BARDA's website to delve more deeply into all the areas of focus, and I think you'll get a comprehensive understanding once you see all 5 hubs on there, that nobody knows what the next emergency is going to be, but of course we're going to have some kind of response to it. Last time it was the most recent time it was a pandemic, but it could be something completely different. It could be something that affects organ function, and for that you need some kind of device to help with that. So that was a long way of saying that just submit if you have a medical device that you think might be relevant. International applications are welcome. There is a caveat there. There may be some countries or areas that are not that are under embargo right now, but generally this is an international solicitation and program, so we are very happy to accept anyone into this program. You don't have to relocate to the US. You can stay wherever you are. It's all going to be virtual. So just apply, tell us your needs, and we're going to have a really great 6-month cohort with everyone learning together. And I think something we didn't mention is, since this is international, we obviously have probably more experts than in the reimbursement and regulatory pathways in the US, but that doesn't mean that we don't also have experts that are able to guide you through CE mark. There may be different reimbursement strategies in the EU, in Asia, so just let us know and we'll be able to tailor our efforts to make sure that it's relevant to what you need to get done. So if you have a technology that is only applicable to cancer, it's going to be a bit difficult for us to evaluate fit, unless you say that, yes, it's primarily cancer, but it's absolutely applicable to something that is an application that you can foresee being used in a public health emergency or a public health security threat. So as long as it can be applied to something other than cancer, we will consider it. But if you're only going to be able to tell us that this is a cancer-related technology, it's going to be, it's not exactly the right fit. So, and finally, we're going to have these cohorts ongoing. Essentially every 6 months we'll have a new cohort. So if you don't get in this time, we will be more than happy to consider you again for the next cohort or for a cohort in the future. This is going to be a slightly different process than if you applied for the development, evaluation, and validation program. This is a little bit of a different application. It's a little shorter in that you don't have to do the secondary application, which we, for anyone listening, we have not invited yet for the secondary application. So I'm sorry for the wait and delay, but we got a lot of really excellent applications and we are still reviewing them. So everyone who has submitted a dev solicitation, we have not sent out any notifications, and that's because we have not made any decisions yet for secondary application invitations. But back to this, for the Accelerator program and pitch competition, you'll again submit an alignment description. So tell us about your technology, tell us how it aligns to BARDA's mission and vision, and we will then also submit, you will submit a video pitch. We will go through a couple of components of the pitch that you really need to include in that video. It's only going to be a 3-minute video. I know that's short, but we'll go through it. And then we'll pick the finalist. You'll enter the 6-month program. We'll have a needs assessment. Basically, once you're selected, you'll be paired with essentially a whole pool of SMEs that you want to work with. You'll have pretty much monthly courses, monthly, just one course per month, where you will have a certain topic that everyone is engaged in. People will be able to learn from each other's kind of experiences in the commercialization cycle. So people may be a little more or less early stage than others. It's going to be really helpful, I think, from our experience, for people to hear, for example, if a voice of customer set of interviews is one of the assignments for that month, it's really helpful to hear what kind of interviews go well and which ones don't go well. And also, we're here to help you make sure that your interviews are optimized, because there's a lot of nuance that that goes into those, so that you get the most out of validating your value proposition. For example, it's just an example. Anyways, and then we'll have networking events like Stephanie mentioned. We'll have lunch and learns with regulatory or IP or business plan experts, maybe fundraising experts for SBIR planning or other kind of fundraising, because not every company needs the same kind of fundraising, of course. And then finally, at the end, you'll get to showcase everything you've learned. So your technology, whatever technical develops you might have made in that 6-month time frame, as well as all of the information you've received from our courses, put that into a pitch that you will be able to share with investors. It's going to be virtual again, so that everyone can attend. And the audience will be private investors, government agencies who are interested in these kind of technologies, and someone will win up to $50,000. There may be another surprise somewhere in there, but we're really looking forward to not only giving out the prize, but also everyone having that time to interface with folks who are interested in their technologies. Okay, what do you include in your video pitch? We're not asking for a full production, although if you want to go all out, go for it. There are a couple of resources that Stephanie and I will share later on about maybe examples of pitches and maybe some websites you can use to make your pitch if you want to, but it doesn't have to be fancy. It can just be like this, like me speaking right now, as long as you can hear the audio clearly. And preferably we either see you, or maybe you want to have a background of slides. You don't need to, but whatever you think is best to have the following information in your pitch. Introduce yourself, yes, like, hi, my name is Julia Zakshansky. I have a background in chemical engineering and materials science, but recently I had such and such event happen that made me really want to develop this technology. And then the problem statement. Maybe you just need to launch in, because it's 3 minutes only, right? So what's the specific problem? You don't have to convince us that we need pathogen agnostic devices, for example, because we already told you we're interested in that. But you can say that there is not currently a $5 device on the market that can detect 50 pathogens in one go from one 50 microliter sample. That's a really succinct statement. You might have your own version of a problem statement like that, but we want to hear the specific issue. You can say there are tests that determine brain traumatic injury, but not in 5 minutes, and not on the field, and not when you're just exposed to an explosion nearby. And we can deliver that in 10 minutes without loss of, you know, brain activity, essentially, or without loss of the signal. So be specific and dive in with specifics, assuming that we already know that there is a larger issue, that there aren't low-cost accurate devices, for example. What's your innovative solution? Tell us about the key components. Don't be too vague, please. When you're saying that, well, we do have a device that can do that, that's cool, but how? Because we all do have scientific backgrounds, we have engineering backgrounds, we've got commercialization backgrounds. So tell us exactly why your device is better than something that we are maybe aware is already on the market. There might be something very similar, and you have to say, that thing only lasts 1 day. You can't reuse it. You can reuse ours 50,000 times and it doesn't decrease in quality. So and the reason is that we have a specific manufacturing process that enables this thing to have a greater longevity than others. You don't have to go into trade secrets, but as specific as you can get about why your solution is innovative will enable us to evaluate, basically, is the science sound? Is there proof of concept data? It would be really great if you could say that our preliminary research has shown that this gets results 10 times faster than the leading method. And that matters because people don't have 10x time to do something right now. And this would enable them. So that's leading into the value proposition. As quantitative as you can be, it's not just that this will increase the quality of life for patients, it's that you're reducing the hospital stay by 3 weeks, or you're reducing the time to result by hours in a disease that will kill you in hours, or something similar. But try to quantify where possible, and try to state also that, why we know that this 10x reduction in time is valuable is because we spoke to stakeholders about it. We spoke to 15 stakeholders, 40 stakeholders, and we know that this is their biggest pain point, and we know that they confirmed that we addressed it with our innovative solution. So think about this structure, and then just cut out any extra fluff that you might be tempted to put in there. We just want to know these 3 components. Stephanie, do you want to add anything to this? before we move on to the application?
No, I think you have the thing. I think really is short, concise, but enough detail that we can really put you in the same class as the needs of the application.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna switch over to the actual application. Briefly, we won't need to go through everything, but there is, I just want to make sure that everyone can access the correct application and know where they're heading with it.
Another thing I wanted to add, the application may look long, but we've actually done a test. It should be around an hour. Don't be scared because some of the questions are just yes, no, yes, no. I know there's a lot, but so don't hesitate to apply because it looks long.
Yeah. Thank you. So this is the iCreate landing page. You'll learn about us. You can learn about CIMIT, Science Exchange, all of our partners. The dev solicitation that you might have replied to is here. This one is the Accelerator and Prize Challenge. So you're going to click the Apply Now button. You're going to go to this landing page, relearn. If you maybe are watching a recording, you can read additional information here. It's mostly just everything we just went through. We're going to have resources at the bottom of this page. And then this is where you actually apply. So right now, what I didn't mention is that we're opening this until November 1st, 2024. We are planning to select applicants by December 1st or 2nd week, so mid-December. And you'll have all this information at the end as well. So this is the Accelerator application. This is a lot of just your company, your personal information, the team information, the number of team members. When you fill this out, it would be really good to know who are the core team members. So yes, who are your scientific advisory board, because you know that does influence quite a bit how, what kind of perspective your company might have already. But it's going to be really important for us to know who are the actual people doing the work in the 6 months that we're going to be interfacing with you. Who are we going to be interfacing with? And then I think I'm actually going to hand it off to Stephanie because I think we were going to do that. So I'm going to shut up for a sec.
Um, I'll probably have you start out. A lot of the other stuff, make sure you look into the format. We wanted it to be a specific format, whether it's the name, and then separately, we also have a word limit on some of the items. Please try to stick with the word limit. Um, do not go over. We will be very strict about that. So here in the organization information, again, just addresses. We do need to know whether you are currently applying or receiving any other support from BARDA. This does not disqualify you from this application, but we just need to know if there's other ongoing applications or fundings that you guys still have. And then it'll say, so say if you apply to the dev, you do have a pending BARDA application. We just wanted to take note of that. It doesn't stop us from not selecting you or anything like that. A little bit about your organization summary. Again, keep it 100 words, short, concise, kind of like the 3-minute pitch. Introduce yourself. What is your problem you're trying to solve? What value does it bring? And then the next one here is how it relates to BARDA mission. So we've described what BARDA's mission is regarding the medical device, diagnostic, public health emergency. And this is when you can get really creative, but we just need you to lead as to the potential use of it, whether it's just as simple as a tube for blood, something like that. And, in the next pandemic, it could be a bloodborne pathogen and it could come to you. So don't hesitate to apply because you think there's no public health emergency for your device. There's always going to be a way to align it. So just make sure.
Sorry. I just wanted to specify also that this is your chance to really look at all these questions with, look at them all first before answering, because what Stephanie just said is just the alignment part. and the potential solution. Please don't repeat in every one, because we have separate boxes because we're looking for separate things. So read it very carefully, and please do not try to not repeat, because we're asking for very specific things. And I think want to comment that about the organization overview and summary. Tell us about what kind of project you are. Are you university backed? Are you a small company? And how you came to be doing this thing and what your overall mission is. And then try to explain your problem that is related to BARDA. Sorry for interrupting.
No, go for it. Yeah, so like Julia said, don't put the same thing in every box. Each of them do have specific questions. So say this one's for alignment, then the next one is for a potential solution to the problem. So of course you presented the problem. How does your device fit into the problem? Also, we would like to know your competitive advantage over existing solutions. Please be aware of the definition for that. Look it up because there is a specific definition for competitive advantage, and we want you to answer that question specifically. And then the rest really is here. Do you have any IP or pending IP on your device? What other funds are you receiving, whether it's from friends, family, organization, different government agencies, if you can list them. Again, just because you have a lot of fund or no fund, it will not disqualify you from us reviewing your application. This is all for knowledge purpose. And then, of course, here we also want more of a breakdown. Is it non-dilutive, dilutive funding? Any other private entities that you're receiving fund from? Any partners, collaboration? And please be specific about the collaboration. Do you have a formal contract? Is this something that it was just meeting over a conference to say that I'll be your buddy kind of thing? You know, be specific. If it's somebody that's with a long-term relationship that you call almost every week, we would like to know, and that makes a big difference. Here in the area sector, what is your area focus? So there's 5 different areas. Here you can see vaccines, digital health, and if you correlate, that's actually to the other hubs that, well, now we received an application that is a vaccine, we will funnel it through the other hubs as well. So you can always apply, and they have very similar applications as well. Also, what is your maturity? Again, just because you're in the very early discovery stage, it doesn't stop us from selecting you. So don't hesitate. And then also all the way down to clinical trials. Maybe you have everything, but you still don't have the correct people that you're partnering with to continue. So don't hesitate. I saw a question like, how late of a stage? I mean, if you're already commercializing and on market and selling, maybe you may not need our help. But if you're in a clinical trial, even later stage, there's always opportunities that you would need partnerships, etc. Also, we would know your TRL, technology readiness level. Once you get there, click on the document. The document clearly states like if you're 1, 2, 3. Here you go. She has it over. So say if your tailor one is just basically your fundamentals, the science is aligned, you have basic preliminary data, all the way down to you're ready in a manufacturing state or you're ready to submit. So all of these have different levels. So read through them to analyze to see what stage you're at. Now, a little bit more, this is the Accelerator program, and because while we're providing services for you guys, we would also like to know what do you need as well. So again, a little bit of the alignment in the area interest. How does it potentially help the next incoming threat? And then also, what is your plan right now? Let's say if you were a TLR1 where you're just in the discovery phase, in the near future, what is your plan? In maybe like about a year or two, like, are you planning to move on, get more data, etc.? And that brings down to the next one in a more concise way. What are your milestones that you're planning to go through? It's like 6 months, I plan to have this article out, publication. You can be a little bit specific about that. And then here comes in, what is your biggest overall risk? I mean, a lot of you will probably put fundraising potentially, but really there's other areas that I'm sure you guys would need a lot of help on, whether you have a device, but you have no idea how to get regulatory pathway to it. Is US the correct market, or is FDA the right way to go? There's many, many options in regulatory. So be specific about the risk, and then of the stuff that we listed here. And
There's,
then also, oh, go ahead.
with regard to risk, there's a lot of interesting questions. Maybe you've pitched to folks before, maybe not. Maybe you've been in pitch competitions and heard other people's questions. Um, there are such a wide range of risks, all the way, like Stephanie said, from early stage tech development, just not being sure that it will fit the product needs that you may or may not have established already. A risk might be that you're not sure what the criteria are for the tech specs to be competitive. There's also adoption. No matter how good your technology is, there might be a barrier to adoption that's not solvable through just the technology alone. You might need to overcome some great amount of lobbying that has been done in that specific area that needs to be somehow overshadowed by how good your solution is. So there's a wide range of risks that you might consider when answering this question. But we want to know, in the context of the next 6 months, what's your biggest risk? Or I guess, sorry, that's the next question. But the biggest risk could be that you are so disruptive to the market that people will be afraid of your device being in the market. Maybe it'll be your competitors are huge companies, and this is the biggest challenge. So this is the big picture challenge, and the next question is going to be the near term challenges.
Yep. Yes, and then also to follow up on the program as well, because we do want to tailor it towards your project. How do you envision this program fit to your needs, whether your needs are in a business plan or of more program management milestone based? So what do you anticipate this program to provide for you? And therefore, we can also use that question later on to tailor the curriculum specifically for you. Other more survey-like questions is, have you participated in any accelerator program, whether it's I-Core or anything else like that? So it's just for us to know and understand. And I think that brings us to the pitch part, right? Yes. So here we would like to have a pitch deck or summary presentation in PowerPoint form. We list out a lot of items here: title, market opportunity, IP, regulatory. It is okay if you don't have some of these items. I know some maybe in the earlier stage, if you don't know what is your IP or regulatory, it's okay to put on a slide, I don't know, or I don't have it at the moment. And that's why, well, this is where our program kind of comes in, because we want to help you in areas in need. And as you go through your pitch deck or your summary slides, it's also a good review of, oh, all these areas and gaps that I'm missing in my current stage of the program. So don't hesitate to upload maybe just some preliminary data or so. It's okay if you don't have everything at this moment. And then here, the upload of your 3-minute video introducing, which Julia mentioned earlier, and then any other supplemental. Some other additional questions. Again, we just want to follow up on, how are you planning to reach the market? If you keep going, like what is your plan for your company, basically?
More specifically, I want to add the de-risking pathway, and I'm thinking about this from the perspective of, without de-risking these major parts, you're just not going to make it to market. If you don't get to speak to that niche set of physicians to validate your product, you're just not going to make it. That way we can know, okay, this team needs these physicians in these fields. They haven't been able to reach them for whatever reason. We'll help you get in contact with them. There might be another de-risking milestone, which is that if we don't get to this low of a limit of detection, we're not going to be eligible for regulatory approval. So that way we can help you get technical experts on board, basically, to say, if you don't include this component, you're not going to reach this low of a limit of detection or something like that. So critical de-risking path is just ensuring that you have the specific components in place for your technology to be able to enter the market. It's not like this isn't where we want to see something like we'd like to hire a technician, I guess, like that's kind of obvious. Like, of course you need people on your team, but it could be that a critical de-risking milestone is also that basically you have a contact from the FDA confirm that your submission can be submitted not as a PMA, but rather as a 510K with a predicate device. Like there are certain interactions that you might want to list here as de-risking milestones.
Okay. So the rest of the questions are quite self-explanatory. They're just a pull-down list of what are some areas of your highest risk ranked from your highest, second, and third. We just want to know. And then, so these are the areas we shared earlier, and you would just pick your top, second, and third.
Yeah.
Also, we're curious, have you ever pitched before or attempt to pitch? And then any other information you would like to share with us.
Yep. Please
Whether to, go ahead.
don't be cheeky and say fundraising 3 times. It's not useful. So just tell us the 3 different things. Like we just want to help. If you really want to be cheeky, that's okay, but we'll prefer it if you do 3 different ones.
Yep. So that brings us to the end. I know we spoke a lot, but again, it's not a very, very long application that is worthwhile to try out. Okay, so let's take the time now to go through some of the questions.
Yeah, I think we might have some FAQs already queued up, so let me see if I can pull those up. Otherwise, we will scan the chat.
Sure.
Okay, so 1 second. Nope, sorry. It's only been 5 years of screen sharing, sorry guys. You know what? Let's just start questions. Oh, okay, hold on, I found it. All right, so going back to this one, international call means anyone is welcome. So yes, please apply. If you're not based in the US, we're not going to make you come to the US unless you want to, because ULP has a beautiful surrounding environment and is a great facility. If you apply and you're from a different country, we will consider your application just as we would from the US. Having said that, if you're interested, again, in relocating to Irvine for whatever reason, we have state-of-the-art facilities that you may or may not find really helpful in developing your technologies if you need access to wet labs or just office space. There's no technology readiness level limit that we'll impose. We just want you to be honest and clear about where you're at in your tech development so that we can identify where your process needs to be de-risked first. You do not need to be incorporated. You can be a university-backed project. You can be a sole innovator. It's just going to dictate what, again, are the priority areas for us to help you in. Do we fund digital health solutions or therapeutics? You can straddle hubs. There are situations where you might have both, some AI component, but also a medical device. We will consider that application. We might put it through to the digital health hub. We might both decide to take you in our programs. Maybe you can have a non-dilutive funding milestone-based solicitation with the other hub and you can be in our Accelerator hub or vice versa. So consider the other hubs and see whether you would like to apply to ours, theirs, or both for whatever reason. Just be clear about your alignment to the hubs themselves. And when will finalists be announced? We're planning for mid-December. So we will very likely have the dev participants and this application participants join in one cohort pretty much around the same time so that everyone can take advantage of the curriculum in a parallel fashion.